Welcome back, and today we are going to be taking a look at the May sales. Every premium is 30% off right now that you can purchase with Golden Eagles. Now, if you are looking to pick anything up, feel free to use my discount code down below. You get a slight 3% off, I get a small cut, and you will get this decal on the screen. But for now, I just want to keep it brief because I made an hour and 40-minute one last year, which includes about 330 different vehicles. I went into the best premiums, alternatives in case you're kind of halfway down the tree, and just the cheapest options. Went into in-depth on basically every vehicle. This time I want to keep it somewhat brief. I'll refer you to that video if you are interested. It will be in the description. But for now, we're going to have a bit of a speed run and just look at the planes that, you know, if you really want to get something right now, something that will be worth your money. And of course, it's only going to be the GE vehicles as of right now. Whether the packs go on sale next week, I'm not entirely sure on. I think they do, but I can't guarantee you anything. So I'm going to look at these two completely separate because this is more of a one-time thing instead of a video that will be relevant throughout the entire year. And that is going to be a segue into the first vehicle of the list, the XP50. The XP50, as of yesterday, lost its airspan. Now, don't think that it's suddenly going to be useless. It's still incredibly powerful. The flight performance here is on par, if not better than the 109 F4. And yes, you only have 60 rounds per gun on the 20 mils, but the 20 mils are incredibly potent, as the A&M 3s are some of the best in props. Is this thing heavily nerfed now? Yes, but at 4.0, this thing is still incredibly competitive, because with the airspan, it could probably be 5.0. Then we have the 109 F4. It's the one that you expect in the German tech tree. Solid all-around performance. I do think that the XP50 is the better plane, but I will prefer the 109 F4 over it because I'm just a bit of a 109 fan. Can't really go wrong with it. They're both pretty cheap. Then we arrive at the 190 A8. It's not the best type of plane, but it does get an airspan. You get 420 mils and 213s. It's all about the firepower and the roll rate, as well as the early presence where you just kind of fly straight in, get your kills, die or win. You can go into the next one. And this is why it's a good grinder. I don't think it's an incredible plane. In terms of flight performance and everything, it's among the worst 190s when it comes to that. But in terms of just hardcore grinding, getting as much RP a minute, this thing is definitely very strong. Then we look at a bit of a polar opposite. Incredible flight performance, very good climb, actually pretty damn fast on the deck at 575 kilometers an hour. Anything you catch essentially dies if it isn't a Zero or anything else Japanese. Now there are some Japanese planes that will just die to you, but in general you have a way to fight basically everything you run into. There are planes that are better than you, but you do have an answer for about everything. No airspan, but the climb rate just kind of makes up for that. And the firepower isn't that fantastic, but the Hispanos nowadays are actually pretty good. Then we have the A2D, another one of those turbo grinder planes. It's not as good as it once was, but in terms of getting your grind done, this thing is nothing short of incredible. Next up, we have Germany, and there's really not too much here. We have the Junker 288. I think if you do want to start bombing, I don't think it's the best way to spend your time, but the reward is good. Keep in mind, the queue is going to be a little bit longer, as it only allows for 4 of these planes in the same bracket, and a lot of people buy this thing right here, so there is a chance that you might be delayed a little bit. If you're looking to grind just overall and not just the German tech tree, I don't think that you should buy this thing, and it kind of goes for the same thing with the Yak 1B. The Yak 1B is one of those planes where, yeah, it's pretty good, but it's rank 2. The reward isn't that fantastic. You know, I would skip on the Germans kind of overall if you just want to get an overall grinder. There are some decent picks for within the nation, like the G91R4 as well, for example, that I forgot to put in. Here you go. If you are just scrolling through the end. But overall, I would skip Germany if you're looking for a grinder that you can use for every nation. If you really want a nation grinder, you probably want to get the R4 if you really have to. But it's a bit more expensive than the other one, so I would wait until November. If you can't, the R4 is probably going to be your best bet. But the packs are going to be a little bit better, because the Leisure M, for example, if that goes 30% off, I would personally get that over the R4. Next up is Russia, and two very strong planes. We have the Yak-3 VK107, incredible performance, and the Shvaks are pretty powerful. It's kind of on par with something like the LF Mark 9 that I just sold you in the US3, but with better guns. And overall, I prefer the flight performance of the Yak-3 because it's all about the retention, but it does have a particular playstyle because the engine is basically a thermonuclear bomb and the wings just like to explode off the airframe if you go over 700 kilometers an hour. You can go a little bit quicker, I just don't recommend it. And yes, that is IAS, not speed. Next up is Britain, and I mean, all I would really recommend here is the Mustang Mark 1A. Very good rewards, very good guns, and that's all this plane is about. It's not about the flight performance, it's not terrible, but there are some very good planes flying around at 3.7, 4.0 and 4.3 that you will run into basically every match, and they will absolutely rinse you. But at 3.7, well, the guns and flight performance is good enough to just get like 2 or 3, sometimes 4 or 5 kills with incredible ease. And then my recommendation for the British Tech Tree will be the Mark 8 Reaper if it's still on sale. And then next up we have Japan. And Japan has a lot of seal clubbers. Starting off with the E7, my personal favorite out of the bunch. Very good reward, very good flight performance, but the guns are kind of iffy and you don't have a lot of ammo. But at 3.0 this thing is an absolute UFO. We have the polar opposite here, we have the FAU 1A. It's slightly harder to play, but also easier in a way. All you need is some discipline. With discipline, this thing is incredibly strong, but the issue is that all you really have is the speed and the 50 cal. So I would personally get the E7 if you just want a more fun experience. If you are a tryhard or perhaps just fly in squads, you're probably better off with the FAU 1A because you can abuse the speed and basically be untouchable. Although I think the playstyle is a little bit boring. Next up we have the P51C11, and it's kind of in the same boat as the FAU 1A, except you sacrifice a little bit of firepower. You now only have 450 cals in the wings, but the flight performance is so good that you can basically bully everyone in the match. It's an incredible plane, but I'm not a big fan of the lack of firepower, and this sometimes makes it a little bit worse of a grinder if you aren't too familiar with the game. It's an incredible plane, but if you are someone that isn't too experienced with RRB, or you're just not too good at aiming, or you might not have the discipline to wait for the good shot, stuff like that, I would personally go back to the E7 or perhaps go for the A7M1. This is a bit of just an upgraded Zero. It's very easy to play. It has very good guns. It has a good amount of ammo. And overall, it's just kind of brain dead to play. So if you are looking for that kind of engagement, then this is a fantastic grinder. The small issue here is that it's 5.0 and you will meet a lot of these good planes where the enemies actually start getting performance and a lot of guns as well. So it might be a slightly more brain dead to fly, but keep in mind the enemies will be more experienced and the planes you will go up against are also just a lot more potent. Next up, we have China. The only thing I can really recommend here is the Ki-84Ko. It's a great plane, it's a good all-arounder, but it's essentially just a worse Spitfire in most cases. And next up, we have the F-84G. And the only reason I really recommend this thing is because it has an air spawn. I don't think it's incredible. I don't think it's really worth buying, so I should probably just put it all the way on the right over here. But it's in no means bad. And if you want a slightly higher BR premium that has a very good reward, where you can kind of just rush in, get the air spawn, get quick kills, perhaps go for ground units, whatever you want to do, this is a good pickup just because you can get consistent grinding. But I don't think it's a particularly great plane. Next up is Italy, and the only two planes I really recommend are the 109G2, which is a slightly worse, in my opinion, 109F4 at a higher BR. Yes, on paper this thing is better, and you can carry the gun pulse, for example, for the extra firepower, because they are a lot better than something on the 50 mils that the 109F4 has, even though the American doesn't have them. But it's a great plane, and it does just work in terms of buying anything, because all of these planes are just kind of abysmal, other than the Spitfire Mark VB Trop. But I don't think it's a fantastic grind. I kind of changed my mind since the last time I made that almost 100-minute long video. It's a great plane. It's a decent grinder for rank 3, but I don't think overall it's really worth picking up. So that's just a quick mention. Then we have the Ariete, or the Ariete, I don't care. It's a great plane. Is it fantastic to play if you aren't too familiar with RRB? Yes and no. It's both completely brain dead and also kind of useless in some matchups. It can be really frustrating to play, but all the times that you get a good lobby to fight in, this thing is basically unstoppable. You just want to actually manage your air brake, you want to manage your speed. It's an absolute rat plane. You basically win the 1v1 versus everything in the game. But it does compress a little bit, and against all aspect missiles and sometimes high-powered rear aspect missiles, this thing can struggle a little bit. So if you are completely new to the game, I don't think this is a particularly fantastic game plane. But if you are someone that's somewhat experienced, it's dabbling in jets, knows how to use flight performance and can somewhat aim guns, this thing is an absolute menace. But you do have to adhere to its rules, and if you do that, you are essentially unstoppable. Then again, we have the G91R4. It's the same story as with the German one. It's a decent grinder. I don't think it's fantastic, and especially considering we have the Ariete right above it, I would personally not get the R4 anymore. Then we have France. You can ask Glitched how much this thing cost off sale. It's one of the best props in the game. It's a fantastic grinder. It's really versatile. It's kind of like with the Yak 3 VK107. Monster performance. Just be careful that you don't go over like 720 IES. And I have the Seahawk. Again, not the best plane, but having quad Hispanos and 2 Sidewinders makes this thing a decent to pretty good grinder. I don't think it's a fantastic plane, but in practice you just end up getting a lot of kills very easily, and that's all you really need when you need to get Silver Lions as well as RP. Now the thing is that I don't really recommend this thing full-heartedly, because I don't think it's really worth it to get the Seahawk, because there's really nothing to grind, in my opinion at least. Now if you want to use this thing as a segue to talisman something, you're of course free to do so, but I think that just buying the F1C when this thing goes on 50% sale is just the best deal that you can get in the stack tree, because a lot of it is just abysmal dog shit. Then we have Sweden. You have the VL Puromersky, and I still think that this is one of the best premiums that you can buy. Incredible flight performance. It's essentially a Battle 109 F4 with flaps, actually usable flaps, but you get slightly less ammo, and you do compress a hell of a lot if you go over 560 kilometers an hour. So you do again need to adhere to the playstyle, but this thing is an absolute menace if you manage to play it right. Now we have something of a slightly easier pickup. We have the 109 G6, one of the best 109s that you can buy, or one of the best 109s you can fly in general when it comes to War Thunder. Very authentic 109 experience. And there's really not much to say here. Good climb rate. The thermodynamics aren't too bad. You don't have to micromanage the engine temp, stuff like that. You can kind of just fly it, do whatever the hell you want, and you'll have a pretty good time. Now in a dogfight, for example, it's not the best, but it definitely gets the job done, and it's all about getting above people, using your energy, and just working your way down top to bottom. There are some planes that will rinse your ass, but overall, it's one of the best planes in the entire bracket. Helped by the fact that 4.7 overall is pretty lenient. And something like the XP50 actually, well, it doesn't get an air spawn anymore. So now when you do get down tiered, you don't have to worry about that thing diving on you in the first 2 minutes of the match. And then for the last letter of the abbreviation, I put it on the wrong preset. I wouldn't buy anything in Israel. The only thing I would buy here is nothing, essentially. Because essentially everything you can get here, you can get in another nation. And I don't think any of these are really worth it. If you really want to pick something up, it's probably going to be the Kafir Canard, the Nets mod. I mean, if you really want an F-16 and you want to buy it outright, it's a pretty decent plane. But keep in mind, it's not on sale yet. And you are very limited by the fact that you only have IR missiles. And that was a single take of every nation in the game. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. If you have a more general question, it's probably answered in the 100-minute video that I did 4 months ago. But don't feel ashamed to ask in the comments down below regardless. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to use the discount code or anyone else's, just to save yourself a few extra cents. Again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for using my link, and I'll see you all in the next one.